and welcome. Welcome back to Nonprofit Auditor Points, and I'm Irina Ryshkova, your nonprofit auditor. And we continue mini-series on Form 990. In the previous episode, we talked about Schedule L, transactions with insiders, and why disclosure about transparency is important and it's not about wrongdoing. Today we will continue the governance theme and moving into another area of Form 990, which is also very often misunderstood, especially by the board members. And it's a topic about related organizations, which is reported on the Form R of Form 990. This episode is especially important because regularly we see nonprofits assume that they have a related organization when they really do not. And opposite, sometimes nonprofits fail to recognize that organizations is related. Again, transparency is critical, and understanding what related organization means is very important. The confusion usually comes from the applying business or corporate concepts to nonprofits, where the rules are different. We need to understand what the IRS means by related organization. So let's start with a key clarification. For nonprofit organization, related organizations are determined only by control, not by management overlap, not sharing stuff or collaborations. Very often when I communicate with the nonprofits, they do say we have related organization with which we collaborate. That's not related. Again, it's only determined by the control for the IRS purposes. Nonprofits do not have shareholders or ownership interests. They have no equity, no stock, no percentage of ownership. Because of that, the IRS looks primarily on the governing body, because governing body has a control to determine whether the organizations are related or not. One of the most common mistakes when nonprofits believe if they have the same executive director, they must be related. This is not correct for the IRS purposes, and I want to repeat this. Having the same executive director does not mean that nonprofits are related. Sharing the executive director, sharing staff, sharing office space, or even working very closely together on the programs does not automatically make the organization related. Management overlap does not create related organization under the IRS rules for Form 990. What does create related entity? Control, and control only comes from the board of directors. Therefore, there are two common types of related organizations that will appear on Schedule R. The first, it's a parent-subsidiary relationship. This occurs when one nonprofit controls another, like a parent and subsidiary. Control typically exists when one organization has the power to appoint or remove majority of other nonprofit board members, or when majority of the board members is effectively controlled by another organization. Again, through board of directors. In this case, one organization is treated as a parent, the one that can control, and other as a subsidiary. And it's not about size of funding, it's all about governance and authority of that governance, that acting as a parent over subsidiary. The second common type is a brother-sister relationship or sibling relationship. This occurs when two organizations are controlled by the same governing board. In practical terms, this usually means that majority, meaning more than 50% of the board members, members for the both organizations are the same individuals. This is where counting becomes important. The IRS generally look for more than 50% control. If majority of the board overlaps, or if the same individuals have the power to appoint or remove a majority of the board members in both organizations, then the organizations are considered related. There is also where many mistakes happens. If two organizations share one or two board members, it does not automatically make them related. Even sharing several board members does not necessarily create a relationship. Control is about majority influence, not casual overlap. Again, majority influence meaning more than 50%. Another point emphasizing the related status is determined based on the fact and circumstances, and it can change over time. For example, organization may become related if its board structure changes. They may also stop being governed if governance changes and control no longer exists. This is not a permanent classification unless the governance structure remains permanent. Some nonprofits have bylaws where it states that more than 50% board members have to be appointed by another nonprofit. And as long as it states more like a permanent in bylaw, then it will be appear from one year to another. Schedule R exists so that the IRS and the public can understand organizational complexity and governance structure. When organizations are related, it raises follow-up questions about sharing resources, transactions, grants, loans, compensation arrangements, and other areas of operations. That's why Schedule R often interacts with other part of Form 990, including Schedule L and compensation disclosures. From the board perspective, when they review in Schedule R, they should think about the following questions. Do we control another organization? Does another organization controls us? Do we share majority of our board with another nonprofit? Do our governing documents allow appointment or removal of the board members across organizations? These are governing questions, not accounting questions, and the board needs to make sure that they understand the governance and it's properly addressed. It is also important to understand that being related, it's not inherently good or bad. That's just the fact. Many nonprofit structures are intentionally designed as a parent-subsidiary or sibling relationship for operational, legal, or funding reasons. They have to be structured this way. This is not the existence of relationship, but whether you, as a governing body, understand and it's intentional and properly disclosed. Misunderstanding related organization can lead to incorrect Form 990 reporting, incomplete disclosures, and confusions to the readers of the return. It can also create downstream issues if transactions occur between organizations that are related but not properly identified as such. That's why Schedule R really deserves attention from leadership, even if the organizations believe it is stand-alone public charity. Understanding what is related means how the board members to avoid assumptions and ensure that governance structures are reflected accurately on the Form 990. From my personal experience, I can explain that sometimes we deal with nonprofits that were not aware for years that they have related organization, maybe because it was not operating a lot, or they never realized that they make decision, that the same board makes decision for the two different nonprofit organizations. In the next episode, we're going to step back from individual schedules and look at Form 990 from a different angle. How board members can recognize when additional schedules are reasonably expected to appear. We will not go into technical preparation of the details. Instead, we will connect common organizational activities such as lobbying, grant giving, foreign program activities, and discuss if such activities exists, what schedules typically should be appearing in the Form 990. This will help board members and management to review Form 990 with more confidence and ask informed questions when something seems missing. Thank you so much for being here with me, and thank you for listening to NAPS. See you next time. Be safe.